All right, get ready, because today we're going deep into one of the biggest mysteries in, like, the whole digital world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Hmm.
You know, the person or people behind Bitcoin. We've got a whole pile of articles and research you sent over.
That's to go through.
We're going to see what we can find out about this, like, enigmatic figure and the revolutionary technology they created,
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's almost as interesting as the impact Bitcoin has had on the world. The mystery itself, I mean.
It's true. Like a real-life puzzle.
It is.
The more you learn, the more questions pop up.
Exactly.
Okay, let's start with the basics, the stuff we do know. What's the timeline of Bitcoin's creation look like?
Well, the first kind of signs of Satoshi Nakamoto appear back in 2007.
2007, okay.
That's when they started writing the code for Bitcoin. But things really started moving in 2008.
Okay,
August 2008, the domain name bitcoin.org, that was registered.
makes sense.
A couple months later, October, Nakamoto releases the white paper.
The white paper, right?
The concept of Bitcoin is outlined there. Then, in January 2009, the software launches.
Okay.
And the first block of the Bitcoin blockchain, the Genesis block, was mined.
Okay, hold on. For those of us who maybe aren't, like, total crypto whizzes,
Sure.
can you explain what the blockchain actually is?
Oh, of course. So imagine like a digital ledger.
Okay.
It's constantly being updated and verified.
Right.
A network of computers all over the world.
Got it.
That's basically what a blockchain is. It's like a public record, right?
Ugh.
Every Bitcoin transaction ever made.
Wow.
Because it's like distributed across so many computers, it's incredibly secure, transparent.
Okay, so no one person or institution can control it.
Right.
That's the whole decentralization thing.
Exactly.
It's a big deal.
It's one of the key innovations of Bitcoin.
Interesting.
It takes the power away from, central authorities like banks.
Governments?
Governments, yeah. It's in the hands of the people.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Now, back to that Genesis block, you said there was a message in it.
Yes. And it's not just any message. Encoded in that block is this text. The Times 03 Jan 2009 Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks.
Whoa. Okay, so it's like a timestamp?
Yes.
And a commentary on the whole global financial system. What a statement.
Yeah, it definitely suggests that Nakamoto was concerned about centralized control of money.
The potential for abuse.
The potential for abuse, for sure. And remember, this was right in the middle of the 2008 financial crisis.
When banks were being bailed out.
Yeah. Trust in institutions was plummeting.
So Bitcoin was almost like a response to that.
Potentially, yeah.
An attempt to make a system that's more stable.
More transparent.
More transparent.
Yeah, that's one way to see it. And it's pretty compelling. I mean, the timing.
The message.
The message. All of it suggests that Nakamoto was motivated by a desire to create an alternative.
To offer an alternative.
Yeah, to what existed.
Makes sense. Okay. This is where it gets even more interesting. That Genesis block, it had a reward.
50 Bitcoin.
50 Bitcoin. For the miner who solved it, given Bitcoin's crazy ups and downs over the years, that could be an insane amount of money today.
You're telling me. It could be a small fortune or, an astronomical sum. Depends on the day.
Totally. But here's the thing. As far as we know,
Yeah.
those coins have never been moved.
That's the crazy part.
So we've got this thing, this creation, potentially worth millions, billions even, and the creator just disappears.
Without a trace.
Why? It's the million-dollar question, literally.
Right. Some people think Nakamoto's anonymity shows their commitment to decentralization.
Is that by not owning it or controlling
He
it?
ensure it belongs to everyone.
It's a powerful idea.
It is.
But wouldn't you be even a little tempted to, cash in some of those Bitcoins?
It's hard to say what motivates someone to do that.
True.
Maybe Nakamoto's afraid.
For their safety.
Yeah, maybe they worry about being targeted.
Right, Kalpin. Powerful institutions.
Yeah. Or maybe they really believe in the power of ideas,
Let the creation speak for itself.
Exactly.
I can see that. So, what clues do we have about Nakamoto's identity again?
Yeah.
Based on what they did online, how they communicated, anything like that?
We're working with limited information for sure.
Okay.
But there are some interesting details. Like the name Satoshi Nakamoto.
It does suggest Japanese origin.
It does, but their English was perfect. And there are hints of British English in the writing. And the code.
So maybe not Japanese then. It's
Yeah.
like they wanted to confuse us from the start.
It's very possible.
And the timestamps on those forum posts, right?
Yes.
They were most active during times it wouldn't make sense for someone in Japan.
Right.
More clues. It's a digital detective story for real. Conflicting clues.
A revolutionary technology.
And a creator who's gone totally incognito. How do we even start to figure this out?
Well, over the years, there have been a lot of people put forward as potential candidates for Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh, really?
Some claims are based on, circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
Others are based on more concrete links to those early Bitcoin days.
Fascinating.
We're going to have to look at each suspect.
Weigh the evidence.
Yes. Figure it out ourselves.
That's what we'll do. Stay tuned, because we're going to get into that suspect list.
Oh, yeah.
See if we can separate fact from fiction. In the quest to unmask Satoshi Nakamoto.
It's wild to think someone could just vanish like that.
I know, right?
Especially with potentially so much money on the line.
It really adds to the whole mystery,
It does.
But let's put the mystery aside for a sec and focus on Bitcoin itself.
Okay.
I mean, it's been, over 15 years since the Genesis block?
Yeah.
Look where we are now.
It's amazing.
I've got all these articles you sent about its journey
A fringe idea.
to a global phenomena.
What's so remarkable is Satoshi Nakamoto didn't just make a digital currency. They created a whole new way of thinking about trust, value, controlling information.
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here. We keep talking about decentralization,
Right.
how Bitcoin works. But what's that actually mean for people? Like everyday people?
Yeah.
How could this tech, this new way of thinking, how could it change our lives?
Well, imagine, right, a world where you could track where everything you buy comes from.
Everything.
Your food, clothes, your electronics even.
Okay.
And it's totally transparent.
Wow.
You'd know where it came from, how it was made, did it meet, ethical standards. Sustainability, yeah. That's one thing blockchain makes possible.
That's incredible. So you wouldn't have to just trust, labels?
Or corporate promises.
Yeah, you'd have proof. What else? You mentioned voting before.
Ah, yes. Secure voting. That's another area where blockchain could be huge. Think about all the worries about election integrity these days.
It's a big deal.
A decentralized system could fix a lot of the problems we see in the traditional ones.
Makes them.
More secure, transparent, tamper-proof.
Okay, so we're talking about, revolutionizing finance, supply chains, even democracy itself. It's mind-blowing.
It is.
But let's get back to our Satoshi suspects, yeah.
Sure.
We're about to get into the evidence, or lack of it, for some of these names that keep popping up.
Yes. Let's start with Hal Finney, a real pioneer in cryptography.
Okay.
One of the first people to use and contribute to Bitcoin. What's interesting about Finney is he lived really close to a guy named Dorian Nakamoto.
So is that where the Dorian Nakamoto theory comes from?
Exactly. Back in 2014, Newsweek runs this big article
Yeah, I remember that.
claiming Dorian Prentice Satoshi Nakamoto was the creator of Bitcoin.
Wow.
They had some circumstantial evidence, his background in tech, comments he made in an interview.
It was a dead end, right?
It was. Dorian Nakamoto totally denied being involved with Bitcoin.
Really?
He said he misunderstood the interviewer. And shortly after the account thought to be Satoshi's, it posted a message online
What did it say?
that Dorian Nakamoto was not Bitcoin's creator.
Wow, talk about a twist. It's a good reminder to always double check, especially with online stuff.
For sure. Highlights the importance of good fact-checking. Verification.
Especially in this fast-paced online world.
It's crucial.
Okay, so it wasn't Dorian Nakamoto.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is on the list? What about this Nick Szabo? His name keeps coming up.
Nick Szabo, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a fascinating guy.
In what way?
Computer scientist, legal scholar.
Okay.
He's known for his work on digital currencies, specifically this concept called BitGold. It actually came before Bitcoin.
BitGold, huh? So he was working on ideas that would become central to Bitcoin.
Yeah, and it shares some similarities with Bitcoin. That's what makes him such a strong suspect for some. There are stylistic similarities, too, between his writing and Nakamoto's. But even with the circumstantial evidence, there's nothing solid linking him to creating Bitcoin.
Has he ever addressed it, though? Directly?
Yeah, Szabo's always denied being Satoshi.
Mm.
But some people think that's all part of the plan, to stay anonymous. Keeps the mystery going.
All right, so we've got a cryptography guy who lived near a guy named Nakamoto, and a computer scientist who was onto similar ideas early on.
Right.
Who else?
We can't talk about potential Satoshis without mentioning Craig Wright.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that name.
He's a bit of a controversial figure in the Bitcoin world. Back in 2015, he claimed he was Satoshi Nakamoto.
No way.
Publicly. He even gave what he said was proof. A lot of it was debunked.
Really?
A lot of experts thought it was a hoax. He ended up suing people who disagreed with him. But then in 2024, a UK court ruled he is not Satoshi Nakamoto.
Officially.
Officially, they said he faked documents, lied to the court.
So back to square one. Any other names that have come up as potential Satoshis?
Oh, tons. Over the years, you've got Vili Ledonverda, Michael Clear, Neil King, Vladimir Oxman, Charles Bry, Shinichi Mochizuki, Gavin Andreessen, Jed McCaleb, even Elon Musk for a while. All possibilities.
That's a wild list. Tech people, math people, even some interesting characters.
Right.
Were any of those arguments convincing, or was it all just speculation?
Most of them had some connection to cryptography, computer science, or like early Bitcoin days, but it was usually circumstantial.
Like what?
Past work in related areas, similar phrases in their writing, things like that. And of course, everyone denied being Nakamoto.
It's like anyone who could have created Bitcoin has been accused. Does anyone stand out as particularly interesting, or is it all just dead ends?
There's one that's interesting to me, a little different. It's about Len Sassaman.
Okay.
He was a brilliant cypherpunk security researcher, died in 2011, sadly. There's actually a tribute to him in the Bitcoin blockchain.
No way. A tribute on the blockchain.
Yeah, shows how much respect he had in the community.
It's like a permanent memorial in the digital world.
Exactly.
But how does that connect to Satoshi Nakamoto?
Well, some think that Nakamoto, out of respect for Sassaman, may have put that tribute in as a hint to their own identity. It's a bit of a stretch. But still, it's a fascinating theory.
It definitely adds another layer. So after all these suspects, all these years, we still have no idea who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Nope. The mystery continues.
It's like they wanted to create this puzzle on purpose.
Maybe.
To keep people guessing for years. But why? What's the point of all the secrecy?
That's the question that keeps everyone wondering. Does their anonymity protect Bitcoin? Or does it hold it back? Is it a good thing, a bad thing? No one knows.
It's like a Rorschach test.
It is. Everyone sees what they want to see in it.
That's what makes it so interesting, though.
It is. Makes us think about our own assumptions, our biases.
And deal with this world where anonymity and transparency are, like, fighting each other all the time.
Exactly.
You know what? I'm realizing the search for Satoshi might not be about finding the answer. It might be about exploring the bigger questions.
About
Technology, power, identity in the digital age.
I think you're right. It's a journey. Even if we never find out who's behind the name, we learned about ourselves along the way.
About the world we're making.
Exactly.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute.
Talk about the potential downsides to this decentralized world. Because there have to be some, right? We can't just focus on the good stuff.
You're right. Decentralization, like anything powerful, has its own challenges and risks. Well, one of the biggest things people worry about is accountability.
The accountability, yeah.
In a truly decentralized system, there's no one in charge, right?
Right.
So if something goes wrong, who do you turn to?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like, say you get scammed.
Or there's a dispute.
Exactly. Who do you call? We're so used to having someone to complain to.
Yeah, like consumer protection, regulators, even just customer service.
Right, exactly. Makes sense. And that lack of accountability, well, it can make things easier for the bad guys,
Yeah, like scammers.
Scammers, fraud, even worse stuff.
Mm.
If no one's clearly responsible, it's really hard to catch them or get justice.
It sounds kind of like a Wild West out there.
It could be, yeah, especially early on.
When people are still figuring things out.
Exactly. It's like any new tech, there are going to be growing pains.
People taking advantage.
Unforeseen consequences, all that.
So we need to find a balance, right?
That's the key.
We want the good stuff about decentralization,
The potential.
but we also need some kind of protection.
Bit of oversight, yeah.
Can we even have both, though?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
It's what a lot of experts are trying to figure out right now.
What are they saying?
Well, some think regulations will kill innovation.
Okay.
Others say it's the only way to stop abuse, keep things fair.
You've given me a lot to think about.
It's a complex issue.
It seems like the future of all this depends on if we can handle these challenges the right way without losing what makes decentralization so great in the first place.
Absolutely. That's the heart of it.
Man, I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed by all this, to be honest.
It's a lot to take in, for sure.
We've talked about so much.
We have.
Bitcoin's origins, the whole Satoshi mystery, what a decentralized world could look like, the good and the bad.
It's been quite the journey.
It really has, and it feels like we're just getting started.
We are. Who knows what's next?
So for our listeners who've stuck with us through all this,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway? What should they be thinking about, while they're having their coffee, checking their crypto, just thinking about the future of tech in general?
I think the most important thing is whether we ever find out who Satoshi Nakamoto really is or not.
Hmm.
Their creation has changed things forever.
For sure.
Bitcoin, blockchain, it's all sparked so much innovation, challenged the way we think,
Yeah.
made us confront the possibilities and the dangers of this decentralized future.
It's a story that's not over yet, is it?
Not by a long shot, new chapters every day.
That's what makes it so exciting.
And a little scary, too.
That's true.
Here's one last thought for you.
Okay.
Imagine, just for a second, that you're Satoshi Nakamoto.
Whoa, okay.
You've seen your creation grow beyond anything you imagine.
Wow.
People love it, people hate it.
It's true.
What do? Do you come forward, claim your place in history,
Hmm.
or do you stay hidden, let your work speak for itself?
It's a question that goes way beyond Bitcoin, doesn't it? Legacy, responsibility, how we choose to impact the world.
It does.
That's something to think about long after we're done here.
Definitely something to ponder.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Satoshi Nakamoto and the future of decentralization.
It's been a pleasure.